Have you ever wondered why history seems to be constantly repeating itself? Today, we are going to talk about an ancient but incredibly important concept, karma. We'll see how it acts like an echo, ringing out in our lives over and over again. Seriously, have you ever felt like you're trapped in a recurring pattern? For instance, the troubles you encounter are always similar, or your relationship issues follow the same track. It's as if the script hasn't changed. Only the actors and the settings have. Today's story is about this profound echo that spans across lifetimes. Alright, our story begins with a sense of déjà vu from a villainous character. You could imagine that his life played out twice, but the core evil thought, the conspiracy, was exactly the same. Let's take a look. First, in the modern era, when the Buddha was still alive, there was a villain named Devadatta. His goal was straightforward, to overthrow the Buddha, seize his power, and take his queen. Got that? Now, let's pull the timeline back to the very, very distant past. There was a king named Ramadatta. What was his goal? You guessed it, to defeat his rival and snatch away that famously beautiful queen. See, even though the time and place were completely different, the evil thought and the motivation were terrifyingly similar. So, faced with such a direct threat, how did these two queens living in different eras react? They didn't choose to meet force with force. Instead, they both coincidentally chose to use wisdom to set an even more powerful and fatal trap. Their plan was simple in words, but brilliant in execution, following three identical steps. Step 1. Set the bait. They pretended to be interested in the villain, making him feel that he was about to succeed. Step 2. The invitation. They sent a tempting invitation for a private meeting, making him believe his dream was coming true. But the most crucial part is step 3, the trap. They had arranged everything beforehand, preparing to expose the villain's greedy desires thoroughly in front of everyone. The plan was set, and the atmosphere grew tense. In two completely different dimensions of time, the traps were about to be sprung. And what happened next was like looking in a mirror. Not a single detail was out of place. Let's look at the Buddha's time first. Devadatta walked into the palace with his head held high, thinking to himself, "Wow, power and beauty, it's all about to be mine." He had no idea he was walking straight into a snare. Now, in the distant past, King Brahmadatta, to avoid being recognized, specially changed into ragged clothes and sneaked into the palace. He was thinking the exact same thing, feeling that the queen of his dreams was finally within reach. Just as they were at their most smug, the queen appeared. In both stories, they said the exact same word, "Welcome." This seemingly ordinary greeting was actually the signal to trigger the trap. What followed was fast and brutal. The queen grabbed his hand. The force was so great, his hand began to bleed. Then she slammed him hard onto the ground, followed by a flurry of punches and kicks. Those lying in ambush rushed out, pelting him with filth like cow dung and scalding him with hot oil. The humiliation was public and total. The most unbelievable part. The entire process, from the physical confrontation to every detail of the humiliation, was identical in both stories. Now, having heard this, you might think, this is too much of a coincidence. It's impossible. The same conspiracy, the same counter-strategy, even the exact same way of being humiliated. Is this really just a fluke? Or is there an invisible force at work behind the scenes? While everyone was bewildered, the Buddha spoke. He was ready to reveal that invisible link spanning across time. The answer was revealed by the Buddha himself. He said, "Do you know? King Ajatasattu, whose queen was almost stolen in the past, was me, that clever queen with the current princess Yasodhara. As for that malicious king Brahmadatta, he is the current Devadatta." Wow, it turns out they are the same group of people. In different scripts of life, they reenacted a very similar drama. This astonishing story is actually meant to explain a very cool Buddhist concept, a specific law of cause and effect. Let's look at what this law is. The name of this law might sound a bit formal, Nisyanda Phala, the result of similarity, natural outflow. Don't worry. It's easier to understand if we break it down. Similarity means the nature of the action is the same. Natural outflow means it flows down like water. In plain English, the nature of your past actions determines the nature of the results you experience in the future. The mindset and behavior you use to treat the world is exactly how the world will respond to you. If we summarize it, you'll find it's basically copy and paste. From the role of the villain and malicious motivation to the act of setting the trap and the final humiliation, the past cause and the modern result are a perfect mirror image. This is the most vivid example of the result of similarity. So, what is the core point this entire story tells us? It's that our actions, especially the thoughts and motivations behind them, are not one-off events that end once they are done. They create a pattern of energy, an echo, that reappears repeatedly in our lives. So, what does this truth mean for our lives today? It's very significant. First, karma is not some mysterious good or bad luck. It is more like a resonance system in physics. When you emit a frequency of harm, your life is more likely to attract events where you are harmed. This also means that, whether we like it or not, the ultimate source of everything we experience in life actually lies within ourselves. As masters often teach us, whatever karma a person creates, they shall ultimately bear it themselves. This sentence emphasizes that we must take 100% responsibility. We cannot simply blame our difficulties on others or the environment. However, hearing this, please don't feel pessimistic, as if everything is predestined and unchangeable. No, it's quite the opposite. This truth actually gives us immense power to change the future. It invites us to look into our own hearts and examine every current thought and action, because these are precisely what are handshaping the future version of ourselves. Finally, let's return to the question at the beginning. You can sit quietly and think, are there any repeating patterns in your own life? What kind of echoes are playing out in your life over and over again? Now that you understand this truth, how do you plan to compose the next movement of your life's symphony?